brilliance of Biden. First of all, one of my friends said that he was flying to the District of Columbia for a wedding. And so I said, "Oh, really? Where are you going to land?" And he said, "At the airport." Well, the problem is that the District of Columbia is a corporation that exists on paper only. So when you look up the United States codes, interesting that they speak in code. Anyways, it tells you all of that stuff on public record. So whenever people try to argue with me or talk to me or question the things that I tell them, I just know that they don't know how to read, or that they're too dumbed down to look it up themselves. So I figured on this one, I would take 3 minutes. It's taken me 3 minutes to look stuff up, and it's not very much. So, because I'm not going to go at length here and so forth, but speaking about the brilliance of Biden. So anyway, so this is, once again, you can't see it because my camera sucks, but U.S. Code 27. It's 3 U.S. Code 27 definitions. It says right here, state includes the District of Columbia. So, you have to go and look up include in Black's Law Dictionary, which I already know what that means, but most people don't. 99% of the people don't know what include means. Include means specifically. So they're telling you specifically, state is District of Columbia. Now that's the truth. If you care about what I'm saying, then go look that up. Also, same with smart. People think that smart means intelligent. It's not what it means. You got to look it up. Look up the definitions of that in Black's Law Dictionary when you're speaking in word magic and legalese. Either way. So I'll give you a quick breakdown. Originally, we the people, an unincorporated entity, the Federation of States, after they declared their independence from the British Empire, hired 2 corporations to provide governmental services. One named themselves United States, all capital letters, and way back in the day you could look that stuff up and it was United States Inc. Okay, and that all capital letter ones is a municipal corporation owned by the Pope. And the easiest way for me to remember that is that the municipalities where you go to court, which are really a satanic ritual because they're dressed in black, mourning the dead, all the 14th Amendment citizens who don't know that they're dead from the birth certificate, it's a religious ceremony, and that's how I remember that that's owned by the Pope, because the Pope is a religious, false God. He actually says he's the vicar of Christ, which is in place of Christ on earth. So that's a total satanic movement. The other corporation, hired by we the people back in the day, was the Territorial United States of America, and that is owned by the Queen. Okay, and they spell that stuff a whole bunch of different ways to try to trick people. So the brilliance of Biden. Well, let me read you one more thing here since you're still here. Okay. This is Penn Hollow versus Doan's Administrator. So this is from 1795, and this is Supreme Court case, and this is on congressional record. Okay, Penn Hollow versus Doan's Administrators. That's all you gotta do is look this stuff up. This is a quote from that case. Inasmuch as every government is an artificial person, an abstraction, and a creature of the mind only, a government can interface only with other artificial persons, the imaginary, having neither actuality nor substance, is foreclosed from creating and attaching parity with the tangible. The legal manifestation of this is that no government, as well as any law, agency, aspect, court, etc., can concern itself with anything other than corporate, artificial persons and the contracts between them. So I just looked up person. I wasn't going to waste your time on that, but in the United States Code definitions, you look up person and it says it's a corporation. Why do you think when you're driving, it's 3 persons or more for the carpool lane because you're in commerce in that corporation for hire as a person, and you've agreed to that from the driver's license. You need a license to do something that is otherwise illegal. But back to Biden and his brilliance. So I just read you something, and this is public record, published on public record. It's known, and the people who are ruling, they know this. The 14th Amendment citizen is a slave. Okay, watch out, Bobo. Anyway, so the brilliance of Biden is that everybody seems to think that he's a dummy. Well, he is a dummy. He's the straw man. He's the surety. He's a puppet. Yeah, okay, but what he's doing is he is actually playing a role and making people believe as the scapegoat that it's all real still. People still think that United States is a country, and United States, that municipal corporation, is not a country. That is a corporation. It's a privately owned corporation. And the Congress is the board of directors. Okay? It's that simple. It's that clear. I'm not lying to you. All you got to do is look it up. And once you find that stuff out, most people won't do nothing about it because they think that they can't. Yeah, well, if people can all think that way, then it'll continue to happen that way. So me and thousands of other people have claimed our birthright. Okay, published on public record that we the people are not missing. So what happened was, by the way, the governmental services provided by the privately owned corporations that I just told you about, they presumed that we were missing and lost at sea. That's how they did this. And then so in states of emergency, they provide the governmental services for us. And by the way, I mean, I could go on, and I don't think you're probably already listening longer than you wanted to, but so we had to assemble. That's what happened. When I claimed my birthright and published all the stuff I did on public record, notarized, I claimed that I was alive. And so what that means is a lot of people did that on every state. Every state. Last time I checked, there was 900 American state nationals on California alone. Well, every state had to do that, and then we've put that on public record to say that we are assembled. So they cannot continue to do the fraud and say that we are missing so that they can perform the governmental services. But it's a big issue. It's a big fight. That's what COVID-19 was about. That's what the Great Reset's about. That's what the financial, Federal Reserve note collapsing is about. All of this stuff that's happening is all about that change because we the people have woken up. So Biden is actually brilliant. He has a lot of people thinking that he's really a president of the unincorporated Federation of States, and he's not. He's the president of the United States Municipal Corporation. But so the Act of 1871 is when the District of Columbia was created. Okay, and think about that. Act. Okay, everything exists on paper in that realm. Corporations are dead, so it's an act. Okay, the Act of 1871. It's not real. It's a fiction. This is the reality of it, man. It's a fiction. So the Act of 1871 created that corporation known as the District of Columbia that was supposed to provide governmental services in a 10 square mile radius. What they did was since they knew they couldn't overlap everybody at the time with that corporation, it was limited with a certain amount of services were supposed to be performed, like postal services, and different as such. Things that have to do with shipping and trade and things like that. But either way, what they did was so they knew they couldn't overlap America with that false corporation because it would be too obvious. So what they did was that's what happened with Abraham Lincoln. He created, he created the 14th Amendment citizen. Well, he was in the administration that created that, I should say. And the 14th Amendment citizen, everyone thinks that all blacks were freed. Okay, and that's not what happened. They made everybody a 14th Amendment citizen in the District of Columbia, which is called the United States Corporation, and that's why all these things that happen, like Biden right now, is the acting president. Yeah, there's an act of Congress. You got to start listening to the words and what they're telling. They tell you the truth about everything because they have to provide a remedy. Otherwise, they will be accountable, which by the way they are going to be accountable because that ain't a good remedy because the problem is that full terms of the contract were not given to our mothers. So when we were born, the contracting terms should have said your son or daughter is going to be a corporation within the United States company and backing all these Federal Reserve bonds, that are borrowed from the privately owned banks. And that was never mentioned at all when mom signed the birth certificate. And you know what else it says on the birth certificate? Go look at your birth certificate. It says that mom's an informant. Yeah. So she informed the government, that her kid was lost at sea, and why is it lost at sea? Why do they say it like that? Because remember, the corporation exists in the realm of the law of water, admiralty law, okay, and maritime law. That's where corporations are. That's where they're governed. So they say that you're lost at sea. See how that is? It's the sea of commerce. So anyways, there's a lot of acting going on. And Biden is brilliant. He's a brilliant actor. I almost was going to look up all of his schooling and all of where he came from and all that to put it into this video. And I thought, I'm not going to do that because most people aren't going to really do anything about this or care. But I guarantee you, just like Trump, who was the president of the territorial United States owned by the Queen, okay, and the municipal president, or the president of the municipal corporation providing governmental services, is Biden. Well, those are the two entities that had the Civil War on our land and soil. That was a mercenary conflict. The two corporations were fighting each other. It wasn't even a real war between Americans here. It was between U.S. citizens who, under deceit, of course, they didn't know that. So this happened 160 years ago. Well, anyway, and everybody thinks that Trump's coming back and all that. Okay, well, if he does or doesn't, it doesn't matter. That's a privately owned corporation. I'm telling you the truth. Registered in Fleet Street, England. You can look this stuff up. It's on Dunn and Bradstreet. I've already provided registered numbers of the privately owned corporations already, of all the state of states. I've told you guys about this. The state of states, which is the state of California, which is a subsidiary of the privately owned corporation providing governmental services. That's a corporation. We are unincorporated, man. Wake up. This is not a democracy. This is a republic. This is not a democracy. That's part of the lie. Every time on the media that they own, that's the mantra: democracy, democracy, democracy. And they get people fighting over our democracy, our democracy. No, dude. That democracy is for the corporation. That's what's up.